So let's talk about how to create fragments. So I want to start with just what exactly is a fragment. We've seen some practical usage and I've told you how to do things, but what actually is it? So we could say for a fragment, it's a small particle which is created inside of activity. But fragments are different from normal activities. Fragments have their own life cycle. Fragments are serviced with Android 3.0 to developers. Fragments provide developers a flexible working environment. For example, you can add more than one fragment inside one activity so that you can design multiple user interfaces. Soon, we'll do a few examples where we design something like that. Now, we've used activity in all of our examples up until now. And if you think back to some of these examples, they've always had one user interface, right? And users had to pass to another activity when they wanted to make a different process. Well, that much is different in fragments. You can always show users more than one user interface on the same screen. And all these interfaces can run independently because all fragments have their own life cycle. Also, you can use one fragment for more than one activity. And it makes your life easier as a designer because it gives you a nice and easy way to use one design for different activities. So you don't have to design that part and write its code again and again. You can call the fragment from different activities and run it. Again, so thanks to fragments, you can close one fragment, open up a new fragment inside an activity. And that way, that particular life cycle of activity is not spoiled. So you can consider fragments as modular particles of activities by looking at all that we've mentioned before. See, these features provide an improved, flexible, and easy working environment just for you. So that way you can develop better quality applications, right? Cool. One more important detail about fragments is a fragment has got to run inside of an activity. In other words, a fragment can't run itself, so that fragment lifecycle depends on the activity lifecycle. If an activity closes, all depending fragments are also closed. So we can look at this picture if we want an example of how to use fragments. Android uses this example in its official site to explain fragments as well. So using fragments on tablets, well, gives us plenty of advantages because tablets have wider screens. Users can take advantage of a wide screen, and so can we. So in this example, there are two fragments on the tablet screen. Let's assume that this application is made for reading different articles. So on the left-hand side, there can be articles in list form. And then when a user clicks on an article from that list, the article can then be opened on the right-hand side fragment. And that way, a user can pick articles from the left side and read the chosen article content on the right side. So having the ability to do more than one process on one screen increases UX and the UI quality of the application. So your user experience is going up, 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 up. That's right, so fragments are rock and roll. Another way to look at it, without fragments, users have to choose an article in one activity and must open another activity to read the content of the article. If the user wants to turn the article list page, well, the article content page, which is inside one activity, must be closed, and then the article list page, which is inside another activity, must be open. Oy. So some examples of the design show in the right-hand side for phones, but there is not enough space to show two fragments for one phone screen. So two different fragments located inside of two different activities. When a user selects an article from a list, the new activity opens and the article content is shown inside the fragment. You can see many advantages of fragments for the user experience in different applications. Now I want to show you a different way to use fragments in this example, which is over a running application. So here, there's an application created with Android Studio for messaging. Now, this application can be similar to WhatsApp, let's say. Now, in this application, 3 fragments are used in one activity. So the first section is to see the friend requests. Second one is the messaging section. And then the third fragment is a list where all the friends are inside. Now, the application is not finished. That's why the sections inside are empty. But the important thing here is there are 3 fragments inside one activity, and all the fragments are running independently. You don't need to close an activity to pass one fragment to another fragment. Because all fragments have their own life cycle, they can all run independently. And that way, all fragments have their own user interface. For example, in this section, you can accept or reject friend requests, yeah? But in the other section, you can continue chatting. And in this other section, you can see the friend list and their contact information. So I hope you see that a design like this increases that UX or user experience. You can make that happen by using fragments. Now, of course, there are many, many, many examples just like this, but let's move ahead and we'll learn about fragments by improving our own applications.